Greetings and welcome. My name is Jake Race and I am a forest gardener and a forest garden designer, and I had the microphone turned off and the camera. I just got five minutes until the live stream proper starts talking about dead hedges, but I wanted to talk about Extinction Rebellion and James Brown, the Paralympian, and I've bought an Extinction Rebellion badge. And I think the failure of COP26, the abject failure of COP26 to keep emissions down, means that there has to be pressure applied in other ways. And do whatever you can, really, and whatever you think is right for you. But we can't. What we're doing now isn't sustainable. So yes, just keep on plugging away and making your voice heard. And there's two things that you can do, really. There's protesting against systemic, pushing for systemic change on a kind of political and economic scale, on a massive, on a kind of global scale. But there's also things that you can do individually as well. So if you can at all get engaged with supporting at a local community level, whether that is growing a community garden or pushing for tighter regulations about insulation in homes, or working on public transport, or whatever it is, but whatever your speciality is. But I think that stuff needs to be done. James has got an appeal hearing this morning, and it starts around about now, funnily enough. So this live stream is dedicated to James, and next up, that's what I could do. I could do this, which would be quite interesting. Let me just come on. Oh my goodness me, things aren't working the way that they should be working. Don't we know it? What I wanted to do now was just to do the Christmas raffle, the festive season raffle, whatever you want to call it. And this is to win a copy of this book here, Martin Crawford's Creating a Forest Garden. This is a pristine copy because it was a present to my mum about 4 years ago. She was a keen gardener. She died earlier this year. And she was a keen gardener, ornamental, traditional gardening, and I thought she'd be interested in forest gardening, and she kind of was, but not really. And I don't think she actually ever opened this book. So when I went, I was bequeathed her in pretty much her entire collection of gardening books, and that's one of the books I found on the shelf. So I'm looking for a good home for it. So we have got 7 people have put their names forward, which is great. And I let me if I've got a photo of it, so I will do that round about now. I shall pull a name out of the hat. Oh God, I didn't do that. Hold on. All these things to do. This is Cloudinary, that I use a lot for a lot of my images. I'm not going to bother with that. Nope. Yes. So all going very, very well. In just for me, it's all going very well in some situations, some circumstances. I'm doing a design job at the moment. I've been doing a lot of YouTube videos. I am designing a clifftop garden, which is very exciting. It's just down the road. It's a 20 metre by 15 metre. It's funny space. It's quite irregular with cliffs, and it's tricky, but there's quite a few things I'm really looking forward to about it, and I've just done the first draft of the planting plan, so that's really, really exciting. Let me get the hat. This is my summer hat, this one here, and the names I've already kind of written them out and I've put them in the hat, and I'm going to, there we go, that's the names. And I shall pull a name out of the hat. Who knows which one it's going to be? And then I shall send it to that person. So the winner is Terry. There we go. So just as proof that I'm not making that up, So Terry, well done, and I will send that. I will send that off to you. I will do a second prize just in case I can't get hold of Terry or can't send a book or whatever, or for whatever reason. And the second prize is Jonathan. Okay, so if I can't get hold of Terry or she doesn't exist anymore or whatever, for whatever reason, but Terry, this book is on its way. This very book here will be posted to you probably tomorrow. There we go. How terribly exciting. Okay, let's get cracking then. Greetings and welcome. My name is Jake Rayson. I am a forest gardener and a forest garden designer. Thank you for joining me at 10 o'clock for my regular monthly, should be the first Wednesday of the month, but I messed up the days and it's actually the second Wednesday of the month. So sorry about that for anyone who was looking to join the live stream last week. Oh, well, that's brilliant. So yes, here we go. Dead hedges. I want to talk to you about dead hedges. I was trying to figure out how to live stream from outside, remote live streaming with a phone, and being able to hook it up to the live stream that I'm doing now, so I can do a combination of slides and then also walking outside. It's actually I couldn't get it to work. So it would have been nice for you to see actual dead hedges, but I've got photographs of dead hedges, which is the next best thing. Okay, so dead hedges. Just a bit of housekeeping, that this talk is always available, natureworks.org.uk/talks/dead hedges. So this talk will always be there. There's not a vast amount to it. There's some nice pictures. Dead hedges are cool and dead hedges are simple, and that's what I love about them. If you press P, you get links to notes. Don't think there's many notes in here, to be honest. That's it. So let's get cracking. So the outline is the function of dead hedges, construction, how do you build them, and the different types of dead hedges. And before we go any further, the TLDR, too long didn't read, or rather TLDW, this just gives you a summary of what I'm going to talk about, so you don't have to spend the next 20 minutes listening to me talk about dead hedges, which might be some sort of blessed relief, I don't know. The dead hedges are simply woody waste stuck between stakes. That's all they are. And what they do, they're windbreak, they're habitat for insects and for all sorts of life actually. They're food source for insects, and then a food source for other wildlife. They're a bin to put all your woody waste into, and they're a support for plants. So that's it. That's the end of the live stream. But there is a bit more. There's a fantastic video by John Little. Do have a look. He's on Twitter a bit. He doesn't really kind of interact massively, which is fine. I know that feeling. But he has got a link to his YouTube video up there, and he is giving a talk at Beth Chatto Gardens in Exeter, Essex, a couple of months ago. And he's great. I've got an awful lot of time for him. He talks a great deal of sense. It's somebody who is actually creating gardens and somebody who knows about wildlife and habitat. So an awful lot of time for him. He's one of my favourite. He's one of my favourite gardeners. So yeah, and he says design for bugs, and you get the rest of the biodiversity for free. And this is echoing. He's not the only person to say this, but I absolutely 100% agree that if you encourage insects and invertebrates into your garden, then everything else will come in as well. So you'll get birds coming in. I think it's something crazy like 98% of all birds rely upon insects at some stage as a food source. It's a crazy figure, but the insects are the foundation of the food web. That's not quite true. Plants are the foundation of the food web because the insects eat the plants, but the insects are the foundation of the animal food web part of it. Okay, so yes, and this is a photograph of his rather beautiful dead hedge that he's created. Mine aren't anything as good as that, but they don't have to be. Okay, so next up will be their function. So this is a dead hedge. Now what you do is you leave a gap of, I don't know, crikey, how much? About 80 centimeters, possibly about that much. You can't see my hands, so you don't know how big that is. About that much, maybe a bit more. Between the dead hedge and the tree. And normally, what I do is create a dead hedge as a windbreak for each and every tree. And it depends on the situation. Obviously, it depends. If your whole site has big hedges, thick hedges all the way around, that you have a living windbreak already, then you might not need dead hedges. So it really depends upon your situation. Here in West Wales, we're on a hillside. We're absolutely buffeted by the wind, and plants thrive if they are protected from the wind. They will grow much faster. They'll grow much, not necessarily much stronger, but they'll grow faster and they'll grow bigger. So windbreaks are absolutely fab. Habitat. As I said, the whole idea is that you are creating habitat for insects. As John Little's pointing out, they are kind of built-in habitat piles. All the woody waste starts to decompose, and then you have invertebrates eating that woody waste, and then you have invertebrates eating the invertebrates, and you have birds eating those invertebrates, and animals, and their homes for various rodents and hedgehogs and all sorts of things. So they are fabulous habitat as well, and they're a food source. And one of the best things that I've ever kind of really realised was that they are a place for waste. They're a fantastic bin in the garden. That moment where you go, what am I going to do with all these bramble roots that I've dug up, and all this length of bramble, or these clippings from the hedge? Where do I put them? I don't want to shred. You don't want to wheel out a shredder. So I haven't used a shredder or a chipper, and I haven't had a bonfire since I discovered dead hedges. I've just been stocking up my dead hedges and building new ones. And finally, they are a plant support. You can use them to grow plants up. Yeah, I've actually got one of the dead hedges over in that garden. I've got a tayberry growing up it. Tayberry is a cross between a blackberry and a raspberry, and tayberries are they're thornless, and they've got massive, great big fruit, and it's quite sour fruit. It's kind of interesting actually, but they're sour, but loads of them, and really productive, and they just look after themselves. So I've got tayberry growing over one, and then I have some roses. I had an old rose. We dug a bed up and moved a rose, and I've got some roses there. Oh, so yeah, chat is working. So that's very, very exciting. I've got chat on the live stream. So yes, you can use it as for growing plants over, scrambling plants. So I would I would grow thornless brambles or thornless tayberries, something that will scramble over. There's a friend of mine who wants to grow mashua. And yes, it's a really good opportunity, and because they're south, generally you have a dead hedge where it's exposed, and generally a dead hedge will be where it's sunny as well, so it's an ideal spot for the dead hedge. Okay, so let's get on and look at windbreaks. Windbreak until living, and that means that rather cryptic message is it's not a haiku. When living windbreak grows, dead hedge disappears. That isn't a haiku. It's because I wanted a big photo of a Rosa rugosa hedge, and I just wanted to get the idea across that the best thing you can have is a living windbreak hedge, because it doesn't need maintaining. And whenever you're growing a windbreak hedge, grow to the final size. So I've got it in the introductory forest garden workshop, first Monday of every month. I go through the kind of basics of creating a windbreak hedge. But basically, when you create a living windbreak hedge, you want it for the final size. Calculate the height, and then get a plant that will grow to that final size. So you don't spend your entire time clipping hedges and trimming them and cutting them and thinning them and laying them and all the rest of it. You can just let it be a hedge, which is an awful lot easier. So the idea is you want a living windbreak is generally better, and then you let that living windbreak grow, and then your dead hedge will kind of collapse and decompose in the ground if you want it to, or it can be an added layer of protection. So it's up to you. Yep. So, and the whole idea, and I don't know how true this is, dead trees support more life, and I don't know how I haven't seen any research about this, but there's I can't remember. I've heard it a few times from different people that a dead tree will support more life than a living tree in terms of the number of insects that will live in it. There is a job. I have a job over in Poppet Sands, a garden that I look after, and they have an old pine tree, and it's incredible. They've got some beautiful pine trees. I need to find out more about pine trees actually, because I'm really, really bad on identification for them. But there's beautiful pine trees, and one of them died a few years ago by the look of it. But it's about 5 meters tall still, and it's pockmarked with woodpecker holes all over it. So it's a kind of testament to to being a food source. So I don't know if anyone's got any information about whether this is true or not. I don't know. And obviously I think it depends upon the species as well. Something like an oak, if you go to database of insects and their food plants, where the hell is that? DBIF. If you go to database of insects and their food plants, then you'll be able to see that if you select an oak, then that will have absolutely masses and masses of plants that it supports. And that's the URL for the database. So it might not necessarily be true for oaks, but it might be true for other trees. Maybe sycamores. Sycamores are well known for not supporting that many species diversity of invertebrate, but they do create a vast amount of biomass. So they're not like, they do have some sort of use. So, and this is a photograph. Fergus Garrett gave a talk. I'm sure he gave a talk with Margaret Roach, and really, really interesting. Waverley Gardens or somewhere in America. And this is one of his a screenshot of one of his habitat piles, because he's great on biodiversity at Great Dixter. He's he gave a podcast about it on the Roots North podcast, and there's a link there to it. And it's like habitat pile versus dead hedge. They really are kind of the same things, and so you get a bit more bang for your buck with a dead hedge. And this is the same about the waste. This is shortly after we moved in. What were we doing? We were cutting. We were just starting some work on the garden, and we cut back a lot of the lower branches on the westerly side of the field, and we're burning them. And it's like, oh well, might as well burn them. And so we kind of have yet another bonfire. Don't need to burn them. You can create dead hedges and all that material. It's kind of quite amazing how much material a dead hedge will absorb. You'd be just amazed. That will just kind of disappear. So don't burn dead hedge. And to climbers, as a support, taberries. I think these are taberries. This is a photograph off the internet, and their dead hedges are usually exposed and sunny. The construction, I don't need to spend much time on the construction of dead hedges. You can use any kind of post actually. These are some old beams that we had kicking around. That is a Pinus pinea stone pine, and they are doing remarkably well. They're absolutely loving it where they are. They've just grown incredibly, and they're protected by the steep southwest facing slope, and they're protected by the dead hedge, which I'm just constructing here. For the bigger dead hedges, now you can use half posts of the big, what they call them, the big hedge fencing posts, 5 foot ones, but they're quite expensive. You can get smaller ones. I've got some smaller round ones, and they worked out at like £2 each or something, so that's like £8 per dead hedge. And then they're brilliant. They're just the right size. They're about 5 foot tall. They're fantastic. And if you can, it depends on your soil and everything, but it helps if you've got a post hammer and a big pokey metal stick, what they call an iron bar with a pointy end. That helps to get the post at the ground, and then you bang it in with a post hammer. But really pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Now you have got different types. You've got different types of dead hedge. There is the box dead hedge. This is my friend Dan's dead hedge. He has. Oh, I was going to show a photograph of the other example. He had on the northern boundary. He had an absolute mass of Leylandii, and has had it all failed. And huge, great pile of firewood, and then loads of brash left over. And he and his partner have created this fantastic dead hedge, and it's absolutely huge, and it's very neat and very tidy, and it's pretty brilliant. So this is the box type, and it can be like as you see here, it can extend and you can make it move around. But the idea is you create a box and you put the stuff in. I have the ones that I have are for individual trees, so I'm just protecting, rather than get a massive great big dead hedge in, I'm just protecting each individual tree. Or you can have it like an extended hedge. And yeah, that's what they've created. Fantastic. And I've got a small one. Probably can't see that very well. This is just using. You probably can't really, you can't really see it. It's using the spacers. I haven't got any here. It's using the spacers from timber. And you go into a timber yard and they have all that timber stacked up. They have little wooden sticks about a metre or so long, and they sell them off for firewood, and they sell them like 10p each, or you might just get given them, and they're fantastic for creating small dead hedges. Actually, I don't know if that is a small one actually. Anyway, the idea is you create a small you can create a very simple small dead hedge with those, and yeah, it doesn't cost, it costs you pence. And I have, because I was thinking that actually looks like that's a walnut, that's not an Italian alder. I've got some Italian alder in, and Italian alder are pretty robust plants, but in this such an exposed position, they really have benefited from a dead hedge. So by putting them in, by having just a little windbreak, it still helps the Italian alder get established, and it has made a difference. There's one over in the other forest garden that I didn't put a dead hedge in front of, and I've had to replace it twice, and then I put a dead hedge in. So if you're in an exposed position or you don't have any protection, and I really recommend it, even if it's a small dead hedge, and it doesn't have to cost like £8 per tree. It can cost you 40 pence and some effort. And then the other one is a box using a fence. So this is a fence on the westerly boundary. There's a bit of a gap between the hedge, so I've filled that up with. I put some posts, and these are the posts that I was talking about, the £2 each ones. And I put some posts in, and I just kind of filled up between the fence and the posts. Just fill that up. So that's a box using fence. And then the final one is woven, and again you can see this is just above the wildlife pond. I've been doing a fair amount of work, and I got all sorts of organic material in there, and you just weavily wove the material through across the hedge. And the reason for doing that is that there's not much space around. There's a path on the other side of that windbreak, and there isn't that much space. So by having it woven, it just reduces the amount of space, and also reduces the amount of material that you have to put in there as well, because dead hedges really do suck up the vast amounts of material. And I've put Jerusalem artichoke stems, they're 2-3 meters long, and they're ideal, and they will rot down quickly, but I'll just top them up. They're out there now protecting from the storm. And then the last type of hedge, this is a screenshot of John Little's work. He got from his talk, and he was talking about structure and dead hedges, and you can see you got artful dead hedges. He's an artisan dead hedger with a dead hedge going over an arch. Oh wow, that is just so cool. And a curving dead hedge as well. So yeah, lots and lots of things you can do with it. So there we go. Right, that is all about the dead hedges. Not a massive. That's the shortest live stream I think I've ever done, which is absolutely fine by me. So thank you very much for watching. This is my first ever dead hedge that I made, and which is now starting to collapse and has a tabby growing over it. But yeah, do feel inspired to go out and create dead hedges. They are one of. I am going to do more. I'm going to put together like some sort of small booklet or something of handy hints of paths and dead hedges, and just get all that information in together. And yes, do take it safe out there. I shall see you again in 2022. Well, I will be live streaming on a regular basis. Congratulations to Terry for winning the Forest Garden book on in the Christmas raffle. And yes, thank you very much, and see you soon. Right then, cheers, bye.